Good morning. Well, seems no one has any idea what to do here. Um, Meaning things are indecisive. You know, downside reversals. We had the two big up days followed by down, and kind of a bear sandwich on the Nasdaq futures there since 24 hours with the tail on the bottom. Historically, high probability setup for higher. Well, it did go higher. It just got rejected even before getting to price resistance. So that was unusual. It had the void to up here, but it created resistance back down out in a little trading range. Pivot low, pivot highs up there, void below, resistance above. It's got room to drop back down into this void, which was the wide range bar. So what do you make out of this? Well, I can't go to the higher time frame yet in a confident way because today is only Wednesday morning. The bar is incomplete. At the end of the week, if it looks like a topping tail bar, well, that gives us more information, which would have prices down here at the bottom of the range. If it reverses back up, this day turns back up, and it's by the end of the day on Friday, this is up. It's still in a downtrend and short-term extended. So we have to go through this systematic process and using bar by bar and retracements and relative strength and weakness and market internals and everything. And so what I can say is that while we wait for something more definitive, is that downside momentum is slowing. The question is it part of a bottoming process? And so how do we determine slowing? Small candle bodies or ranges, momentum picked up again, retracement, momentum slowed near the prior resistance, 100% retracement. Maybe it can bounce. Breakout failure, momentum picks up again. Up we go to resistance, maybe making a turn since it took out major resistance, the high prior to the lower low. Momentum picks up again to the downside. The distance between the lows are relatively close, so momentum slows down compared to this momentum. And so is this part of a bottoming process, or is it ready for the next leg down? And we just don't know yet. Now, going to the monthly time frame, I see, it's October 19th, in the middle of the range this month. We're going nowhere. We've violated this support here. I've got an alert here for only a reason, thinking, well, if the spiders should go down, let me clean up my mess. My drawing, not a mess, it's actually a work of art. You see the momentum here is slowing in the bottom of the wide range bar, and if it should come down here, I just kind of picked some kind of an equal distance on the cues, but there's the support down here. And so we're waiting. I mean, that was a deep retracement. And, that got rejected, which makes sense. We talked about that yesterday. Gapping up to resistance, likely it's going to stall, can it go sideways, and so on. So where are they now? Right? Yesterday they were gapping up to the top of that resistance. Now they're gapping down, well, kind of unchanged, really maybe gapping up a little bit down, not a little bit down, since that's the close, but everybody's waiting for something to guide. Now, what is that something? Oh, sure the hell isn't short-term interest rates like the Fed's going to back off, because this totally is saying it ain't going to happen. Those are going up. The 5 years above the 10 and the 30. And now look at this. The 10-year is above the 30-year today by a little bit. I don't have them together, but you can see the 10-year, that's now pushing up. And the 30-year has been accelerating, as you can see. And We have a chart here somewhere. You can see here 3-month catching up there with the 10. And I don't have a 30 on here, but I mean, all of these charts here say, with all the jawboning discussions about recession, all of this says, yes, recession, yes, it's going to happen. Um, so, yeah. I don't know what happened in Zoom this morning, guys. Why? I mean, I can look into it. I can ask them, but we didn't change any settings. I don't know why it was so difficult getting into Zoom this morning. And I can see that probably others, just by the number that's in the room, others are probably having trouble. So I don't know. We'll look into it. Dow moved to resistance inside day, no big deal. Look, we haven't been expecting much here, so hopefully everybody's been listening and staying out of trouble. Not getting chopped up. Nasdaq futures coming down, Russell. Deep retracement, but backing off. So it's more wait and see for information. Interest rates are bearish. Sentiment is still neutral. Breadth, there has been some improvement there, but coming up, not, it's just the beginning of extreme. I look at this and think maybe there's one last gasp, maybe to the upside, but nothing definitive there. The dollar, what do we got going there? Backing off a little bit. So I'm sure some are hopeful, little shade of helpfulness here as to what's a little, that's extended. So we've got short-term interest rates going up, the dollar neutral here, backing off a little bit. So a glimmer of hopefulness as to something there, but as to maybe it's so anticipated what the Fed's going to do that it's maybe being brushed off to a certain extent. I mean, I think, time will tell. More earnings are coming out. Bitcoin is doing Zippo. There's nothing there. I can see silver's down a little bit. Down at the bottom of the range. Topping tail like it's going to drop. Makes sense with short interest rates moving up like that. And gold starting to break down. I mean, look at that, the size of that retracement up above the major resistance, up to the next pivot where resistance is, probably some fib retracement level there, Elliott wave, who knows what, but how many times can I say look to the left? Crude oil, backing off a little bit here. That another deep retracement above 2 prior pivot highs. So that is a major break of a downward trend. And it's got to make a higher low. Here's the support here. This is the area where it's got to try and make a higher low. And there's some of the and they're still holding up some of the rails, and interesting maybe because oil backed off a little bit. Cruise lines, like people inflation, but people maybe going for cheap cruise line vacations where they can eat a lot and store up. I don't know. Biden released another 15 billion barrels ahead of election. Yeah, well, that's the problem. People that don't keep up with what's going on with the world, and they hear a news blip like that and they think, oh, we have a president that's helping. Meanwhile, they don't know he's trying to destroy the country. But that's, other people have to get out there and spread reality around. That's the way it is. So let me go back here. Options. See upside here. I think, Dan, you need to hit the campaign trail. 37.90. SPX, that's doing nothing. 37.90, 3,800. I would prefer to be above 3,800. 37.90, I don't like that for a call side. And 36.10 maybe. I would wait to see if the markets continue to drop at the open. You know, this is right on this pivot. And if they begin to break below that, there's a void. And if they do that, then I would consider a put spread on SPX if I can get some premium below 3,600. Because this does have the potential to pull in here. It's sitting right there. And if it holds, you know, getting back up to that level should be a bunt. So that's what I think. See if it drops, get to 3,600 or below with enough premium. And if that doesn't happen, don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. SPY, yeah, so far, you know, it's holding here. Where's my cursor lineup? I mean, the same as the futures. It's just holding right here. There's a little shelf of support. And so, look, the way to look at this, if you're thinking that shelf of support is going to hold, I get it. But do realize that it's been used as a reference point. Right? It came down here. So that's been used. And now prices are here. And it's built this little area of overhead resistance. If that should break, I do not think that's going to hold. So, I mean, this is our more advanced way of understanding support and resistance. And one of those concepts is, has a reference point of support or resistance been used already? And if it has, it weakens it. That's the belief. That's the understanding, or like I call a thought process to our analysis. And that just because there is something to the left, the question is, has it been used before? And through a correction through time that does not resolve itself to the upside, it becomes supply if it begins to break. And at that point, because it's been used already, the likelihood of that holding becomes diminished. Now, it doesn't mean I just look at this as if it's not there. It's just that if I see a continuation pattern, some kind of a breakout failure, it creates a belief that this can move down lower. So here's a little tidbit of education to take into the day. And other than that, I don't see much going on here to suggest things are going to go one way or the other. Yeah, McGraw, I was just saying that I would like to see the markets, if they're going to continue lower, you know, which they're right here. They've had this retracement back down. Yesterday was rejected. If it would start to break here, I would then look to get premium at 3,600 or below 3,600. 30, you know, to the upside, it's too close. So that's what I'll be looking for, to see, you know, that its prices are down here right now. If this starts to break lower, the premiums will increase down here. And as I explained, this for the moment appears to be part of, until proven otherwise, you know, lows closer together, maybe part of a bottoming process. Why? I don't know. You know, whether the rest of October is going to create this waterfall down, or whether it just kind of runs out of its time seasonality to do some damage and this becomes a head and shoulders bottom and then up we go. I don't know. Yeah. Big open interest at 36.50. So Is that lined up with anything? 36.50. Not really. Not really. I mean, this lows here, and let's see what happens. I mean, my thinking is if it drops to 36.50 and stalls there, okay, I like that piece of information, but I would be thinking it, and then getting premium down here would make sense. So there you go. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, sorry for whatever trouble's getting in the room. I guess that's Zoom. Do you remember I was making fun of Zoom for years because I just wouldn't put in a stupid button about the default to everyone. Bottoming pattern. So yeah, range bound here, as Greg talked about, so that should be okay for put spreads. Amazon, not Amazon, Netflix is the big tamale here today. We were looking at selling out of the money puts on this. Now the gap up. This was actually on my core long list, target 3 to 3.25, but the gap's messing it up now. So the gap's so big, 35 points here, or 25 rather. I'll see how it sets up, but we can consider call or put spreads. And so I'm assuming Disney is up on that news, just another media company. So this is a gap over or to yesterday's high. Nice gap reversal. So that's a definite put spread watch, or even directional if the market is rallying. This has room. Greg was just talking about support and resistance based on this action. 30-minute high over yesterday's high. I think it's going through that. And then you got a price void. So that this could easily go to 105, or if the market's moving, maybe even the 50 MA there. So that I like a lot as a watch. This GNRC came out and pre-released. Yeah, John, I know a lot of people have been complaining, and rightfully so. Hopefully Greg can contact them and yell at them. That's me and tech problems. All right, so this thing's down a lot already from whatever 250. And so look at that. With today's gap down from 250, this is cut in half. Wow. So 30-minute high, I'm a contrarian. I'm thinking of selling a put naked or put spread, because they're going to be jacked. But we don't jump in front of a freight train. We got to see what's happening in the first half hour. All right, Netflix we talked about. ISRG 216. Let's see, that was a nice pattern. But I didn't find any the last 2 days of selling puts into earnings. That is a strategy we do using the pattern. If the options are liquid and juicy, they just were not juicy this so far for some reason. But this was a good pattern to sell puts on. So now it's gapping way the heck up here. I mean, that looks like a beautiful bottom for a couple months to me. AMX shows it up 30 cents is all, but doing nothing. All right, thanks, Jerry. I mean, what a pain. Let me write that down because in case somebody else is asking. All right, what do we have here? JB Hunt, gap into 170. Okay, this looks like a fantastic put spread idea. 30-minute high. I'll put that in that little window. LMC shows it up $1.25, but I don't see any prints, but no pattern anyway. We'll come back to you. FHN. Actually, I see a print down here. That was a beautiful pre-earnings run right there. We'll come back. So United's been doing well. I think they came out and pre-released or whatever. They were on CNBC this day and it had a nice bounce, but there was no pattern. But we can watch the sector. See, the sector's up. You know, I said this was a beautiful double bottom here. All right, oh, that's Greg sending that. I'll read it later. All right, so yeah, Jets was a nice double bottom here. Look at that monster beautiful double bottom with two gap downs negated. Now it's gapping up again. Cruise ships did well yesterday. Look at that. IB, Interactive Broker, not much volume, but gapping up. That's a bullish pattern. Let's keep an eye on that for a put spread. The founder was on. Maria asked him what he thought the bottom of the market was, and he said probably 3,000. So he's in that camp of everybody else that's expecting lower prices. But he's smart enough to say, but I'll look at the data and I can change my mind. That's exactly how we are too. See, that's objective. It's fine to have an opinion, but don't put your head in a hole unwilling to change your opinion. And I just saw a headline, CNBC said that Bezos said, batten down the hatches. So, that he's explaining he thinks, more pain is coming in the markets too. So, when you hear, and then, Jamie Dimon's been saying that. So when you hear stuff from real CEOs, that's valuable to me. I mean, they're on the front lines. Raul saying PRG short that he did yesterday. This would be a beautiful, what we call 1, 2, 3 continuation. So here's our upside shakeout, closing breakdown. If you get an inside bar that stays within the bottom 1/3 of yesterday's range, then tomorrow short the lows, because then you got a breakdown on the weekly, nasty downtrend. So sure, I'll put that on the list. And Michael T-bond 2-year nice trade this morning short. Yeah. Ali for short intraday. Fernando's asking. Ali have earnings today too. Robert doesn't see my cursor. It's here on the daily chart. I'm moving it around. I know I had problems with this last week. Seems to be a sporadic problem. So this is a gap breakdown. No cursor for date, really? All right, so you hear that, Greg? We still got a problem with my cursor, which
It's your
stinks.
something with your computer there, and just use the red dot because I have no idea.
Okay, well, I can call Dell then one day, All right, yeah, I will use.
I don't think it's Dell. It's something because when you use other things on your computer, we saw it. So must be something with sharing the application, but use the red dot. It's
All
even
right,
better.
all right, cool. All right, so this is gapping down to 26. So that's a big gap. Look at this as a monster head and shoulders. So look, I just lost the dot. It dropped off my cursor. It's not moving anymore.
The dot is there.
I know, but it's not moving. It's not moving with my cursor.
Oh, I don't know.
It fell off. So now it's totally disappeared. Let me hit it again.
There's some
Spotlight.
setting on that computer. I would guess. I don't
And
know. Yeah.
that's it. The dot's gone. Sorry, guys. We'll have to brainstorm it again here in an hour or so. All right, so that it's a big gap. So I don't know about shorting this. I need more information within the first 30, 60 minutes. All right, so IBKR is holding the gap up. That's very strong. I don't like trading in the first 5 minutes, earning anything, but in particular, earning stocks because I can just get whacked around. But maybe 10, maybe 15-minute high, but that's a nice pattern. I'm gonna put it in another window. And I'm not going to even look at the options because I know they're going to be spready at the open. So I'm going to be watching Netflix, Interactive Broker, Disney. I said I like. Look, that again, maybe 10-minute high. I know it's at a prior high, but I think it's going to go through it. Look, look at this stupid dot. So the red dot just showed up again, and then it fell off my cursor again. I hate tech problems. Well, yeah, that's I don't know what to do with that. That gap's too big. All right, JB Hunt, I said I liked. Now I prefer this bar to close red and then 5-minute high. Yeah, I know the dot fell off. It froze. I know. Disney's still moving here, so Disney, and I'm watching this GNRC bottom right. Let me see. Oh, JB Hunt. 10 cents by 70. So as expected, too spready. We'll get a nice 5-minute pop here on the horseman. All right, GNRC. Okay, so that is not a good pattern because I like these as like gap and snaps, whereas this gap from a failed little short-term little turn there, but nevertheless, I'm just always curious how jacked they are. The spreads are preposterous. The 115s for Friday, 85 cents by 175. So, I told you the volatility would be jacked, but that is ugly. I remember I read about this one in Barron's and I put it on my long watch list. Now see that one could have hurt me, I think we were looking at selling 170 puts, but I forget if it was illiquid or it was just ridiculous amount. I forget. There's just absolutely zero pattern in the four horsemen for swing trading. Day trading, it made a new low plus on this 15-minute chart, and it's a bullish retest pattern. It's only 933, but that's a good sign for day trading for the bulls as of right now. A Disney here, I've said 4 or 5 times. I'm just not chasing here at 934, but I like the pattern. So I'm checking puts in Disney under yesterday's low or even lower, the 97s. 25 cents is all. Wow. So that is not very juicy, but like I said, I think 105 to the 50 MA are the targets if it holds. I mentioned Interactive Broker. So my favorite longs here are moving, but Netflix, that is a bullish gap. Closing at the top of the range, 100% retracement, gapping above multi-month consolidation. I would not be shorting call spreads on that. That's bullish. Wow. All right, CJB Hunt here, middle chart, 100% retracement, so no interest now. I've been watching Dow, stills on my long list, looks good. Oh, I think Dow has earnings tomorrow, maybe. I see Boeing moving up. Jets are up 6 bars now, nothing to do there. I have FedEx, I have an alarm. Adobe it had a gap up. I think they have reaffirmed. Thanks. I think they reaffirmed their earnings, but this has to get over yesterday's high for this double bottom to get moving. All right, let's come back to these earnings trades. All right,